The gym went silent. All you could hear was the soft squeak of bare feet on the mats and the pounding of hearts waiting for the unexpected match to begin. On one side stood Adrian Cole, billionaire entrepreneur, BJJ black belt, and the man whose name commanded respect in every business circle. On the other side stood David Hayes, a quiet single dad, a former soldier with scars you couldn't always see, wearing a worn-out GI that had clearly seen better days. Nobody knew why Adrian had called David out. Nobody knew that this sparring match would become a story people would talk about for years. David hadn't planned on being here today. He was only at the gym because his 10-year-old daughter, Lily, begged him to sign her up for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. "Daddy, you always told me to be strong like you," she'd said, her big brown eyes shining with hope. David couldn't say no to her, not after everything they'd been through. Losing his wife 3 years ago had been a blow that left him shattered. He left the army to raise Lily alone, picking up night shifts as a security guard just to keep a roof over their heads. He didn't come to the gym for himself. He came for her. While Lily trained with other kids, David sat quietly in the corner, his calloused hands gripping an old coffee cup, watching her smile like sunshine after years of storm clouds. That's when Adrian noticed him. The billionaire wasn't just a business tycoon, he was obsessed with martial arts. He sponsored tournaments, trained every day, and lived by the discipline of the mat. But when he saw David sitting alone, something about the man drew his attention. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, quiet confidence, a posture that screamed military without a word. Or maybe it was the haunted look in his eyes, the kind that only someone who had seen war would understand. Adrian walked over. "You train?" he asked. David looked up, startled. "Not anymore," he said, his voice low, almost embarrassed. Adrian smiled. "Once a fighter, always a fighter. Come on, spar with me." David shook his head. "I'm not scared," Adrian teased, a playful smirk on his lips. That word hit something deep inside David. He wasn't scared of pain. He'd faced death more times than he could count. But he had spent years burying the part of himself that fought. Because every time he thought about fighting, he remembered the desert, the explosions, the brothers he lost. Fighting reminded him of everything he couldn't forget. But then Lily ran up, her little face glowing. "Daddy, you can do it. Show him how strong you are." And just like that, David agreed. The entire gym gathered around as the two men stepped onto the mat. Adrian looked like a champion, lean, powerful, confident. David looked ordinary. His GI didn't fit right, his belt was frayed, and his movements seemed stiff at first. The match began. Adrian moved fast, his black belt skill on full display. He shot for a takedown, expecting an easy pass. But then, thud, Adrian hit the mat. David's reflexes kicked in like a switch flipping in his brain. Years of military training, close combat, and survival instincts came roaring back. In seconds, David had him in a perfect sweep. The crowd gasped. Adrian grinned like a kid on Christmas morning. "Nice," he said under his breath. Round after round, Adrian attacked with precision. David countered with raw, explosive technique. It wasn't polished, but it was powerful. Every time Adrian thought he had him, David slipped out like water through fingers. People started whispering, "Who is this guy? How could a man who looked so broken move like that?" By the final roll, both men were drenched in sweat, breathing hard, locked in a battle that felt more like art than violence. And then it happened. David transitioned into a flawless armbar. Adrian tapped. The billionaire, the black belt, the undefeated gym king, had lost. The gym erupted in cheers. But David didn't celebrate. He just stood up, helped Adrian to his feet, and gave a nod like a soldier acknowledging another warrior. Adrian laughed, clapping him on the back. "Where the hell did you learn that?" David shrugged. "Overseas. Long time ago." Adrian's smile faded as he looked into David's eyes, eyes that carried the weight of battles no one in that room could imagine. "Why'd you stop training?" Adrian asked. David hesitated. Then he glanced at Lily, who was watching with her hands pressed to her cheeks, beaming with pride. "Life happened," he said softly. Adrian looked at the little girl, then back at David. And right there, something changed. This wasn't just a spar. It was a moment of redemption. After that day, Adrian made David an offer that stunned everyone. He wanted David to become the head instructor for a veterans BJJ program he planned to fund, a program to help soldiers heal through martial arts. At first, David hesitated. He didn't think he was ready to teach, to lead again. But Lily grabbed his hand and whispered, "Daddy, you always told me being strong means helping others." Those words broke the last chain holding him back. Months later, David stood on the mat, a group of veterans in front of him, Lily sitting on the sidelines doing her homework. The man who once thought his best days were behind him was now giving hope to others like him. And Adrian, he became more than just a billionaire. He became a brother. The video of their first spar went viral, not because a billionaire lost, but because of what it represented: strength, humility, second chances. The message: it's never too late to fight for something bigger than yourself. Sometimes, all it takes is one unexpected challenge, to remind you of the warrior you've always been. Do you want me to continue this into a full 3-part story for YouTube, around 55 minutes total, with emotional twists, Lily's backstory, and the growing bond between Adrian and David? Or should I expand this single story to make it long enough for one full-length video? The video of the spar spread like wildfire. In just 48 hours, it had over 1 million views. People weren't just impressed by David's skill, they were moved by his humility. Comments flooded in: "That's what a real man looks like. Respect to this veteran dad. Someone give this guy a job teaching." But David didn't care about the fame. He cared about one thing: giving Lily the life she deserved. The next day, David went back to his routine: security shifts at night, school runs in the morning, ramen noodles for dinner. The victory on the mat didn't change the reality of overdue bills or the fear of losing their tiny apartment. Lily, as always, stayed cheerful, doing her best to help her dad. But David could see the truth in her tired little smile. She missed things other kids had: birthday parties, vacations, even simple ice cream trips. That night, as he tucked her in, she whispered, "Daddy, when Mommy was here, you used to smile more. I wish you'd smile like that again." Those words cut deep. He kissed her forehead, forcing a smile he didn't feel, and walked out of the room with tears burning his eyes. The following morning, Adrian showed up at David's apartment. Not in a limo, not in a flashy car. Just himself, dressed in a hoodie and jeans, holding 2 coffees. "You didn't call me back," Adrian said as David opened the door, confused. "I didn't think you were serious," David replied, rubbing the back of his neck. "I'm dead serious," Adrian said, stepping inside like they'd known each other for years. "That veterans program, I wasn't just talking. I want you to run it." David hesitated. He'd been out of leadership for so long. Teaching, running a program, it sounded impossible. "I'm not qualified," he said. Adrian smirked. "You're more qualified than anyone I've ever met. You're a soldier. You're a father. And you have something most people don't: heart." David wanted to argue, but then Lily appeared, holding her stuffed rabbit, eyes wide. "Is this the man you fought, Daddy?" she asked innocently. Adrian grinned. "The very one. And he beat me fair and square." Lily's jaw dropped. "Daddy beat you." Adrian winked. "He's stronger than he thinks." Something shifted in that moment. For the first time in years, David saw a door opening, a way out of survival mode, a way to build a future. Weeks later, the program launched. The mats were rolled out in a brand new gym Adrian built in the city center. The sign above the door read, "Warrior's Path, BJJ for Veterans." David stood at the entrance, hands trembling. He hadn't felt this nervous since deployment. Veterans started arriving, men and women with the same haunted eyes he saw in the mirror every day. Some walked with canes, others with prosthetic legs. All carried invisible scars. As David began the first class, his voice cracked. But then he looked at Lily, sitting on the sidelines, clapping for him like he was the biggest hero in the world. And suddenly, the fear melted away. Weeks turned into months. The program exploded in popularity. Veterans weren't just learning BJJ, they were finding a family. Men who hadn't spoken in years started laughing again. Women who battled PTSD found peace on the mats. And David, he became the heart of it all. But success didn't erase his struggles overnight. He still fought with doubt. He still woke up some nights drenched in sweat from nightmares. One night, after a particularly hard class, he sat alone in the empty gym, staring at the mats. Adrian walked in quietly and sat beside him. You okay? He asked. David shook his head. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve this. This second chance. After everything I've done. Adrian looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, David, you're not defined by what happened out there. You're defined by what you do now. And what you're doing, is saving lives. David's eyes burned. No one had ever said that to him before. Then came the twist neither man expected. Lily got sick. What started as a mild cough turned into something worse. Doctors diagnosed her with a severe respiratory condition that needed expensive treatment David couldn't afford. When Adrian found out, he didn't hesitate. The program is yours. Take care of your daughter. I'll cover everything. David refused at first. Pride wouldn't let him. But then Lily looked at him from her hospital bed, pale and weak, whispering, Daddy, please let him help. David swallowed his pride. And Adrian did more than pay for the treatment. He stayed by Lily's side through every test, every sleepless night. By the time Lily recovered, David realized something profound. Family isn't just blood. Sometimes, it's the people who fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. The video of David's first spar wasn't just a viral moment anymore. It became the beginning of a movement, a story of friendship, resilience, and the power of second chances. And for the first time in years, David smiled without forcing it. Because now, he wasn't just a survivor. He was a leader, a father, and a warrior with a purpose. Checkmark. Do you want me to write part 3 with the big emotional climax? Maybe Adrian faces his own crisis, David saves him, and the story ends with a powerful message about brotherhood and legacy. Or should I focus on Lily's journey, and how David builds a future for them both? 6 months later, Warrior's Path had become a beacon of hope. Dozens of veterans trained there daily. Lives were being rebuilt. The bond between David and Adrian had grown unbreakable, from strangers on the mat to brothers in arms. Lily was healthy again, running around the gym with a smile that could light up the darkest room. Every time David saw her laugh, he felt like he'd been given a second life. But life, as he knew all too well, had a way of testing you when you least expected it. It happened on a rainy Thursday night. The gym was quiet, the last class had ended, and David was locking up when his phone rang. David, Adrian's voice was strained, almost unrecognizable. What's wrong? David asked immediately, heart pounding. A pause. Then Adrian whispered, they're trying to take everything. My company. My name. Everything I built. David didn't understand at first. Adrian was a billionaire. Untouchable. But the truth came out fast. A hostile takeover, corruption scandals orchestrated by his own business partners, and false charges designed to destroy him. I can't fight them, David, Adrian said, his voice breaking. This isn't a mat. This is. David cut him off. You're wrong. You can fight. Just not alone. For the next few days, Adrian vanished from the public eye, hiding in a storm of legal battles and betrayal. The media ripped him apart, painting him as a villain. Friends he thought he could trust turned their backs. David didn't. Every night after teaching, he sat with Adrian, helping him piece together documents, making calls, even standing outside courtrooms as a silent shield. When reporters swarmed Adrian one morning, shouting accusations, David stepped in front of him, towering like a wall. You got something to say, David growled, you say it to me. The cameras captured that moment. A veteran protecting a billionaire, not for money, not for fame, but for loyalty. It went viral, flipping the narrative. People started asking, who is this man standing by Adrian Cole when everyone else ran? One night, after a brutal day in court, Adrian sat on the floor of the empty gym, head in his hands. David, why are you doing this? He whispered. David stared at him for a long moment, then said softly, because once, you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You gave me a reason to fight again. I'm not about to let you fall without a fight. Adrian's eyes glistened. For a man who had everything, this moment, someone standing by him when the world turned away, meant more than all his billions. Then came the showdown. Adrian decided to face the boardroom coup himself, with David walking in at his side like a soldier entering enemy territory. The men who plotted against Adrian didn't expect him to come prepared, but David had helped him uncover every lie, every forged document, every hidden betrayal. When the truth came out, it was like a bomb going off in that room. The traitors were removed. Adrian regained control of his empire. Justice won. But Adrian didn't walk away unchanged. That battle broke something in him, and healed something else. He realized that power meant nothing without people who truly had your back. Months later, the gym wasn't just a veterans program anymore. It was a movement. Adrian poured his wealth into expanding Warriors Path nationwide, with David as the head of the foundation. They started offering free training for veterans, therapy programs, and scholarships for their kids. One day, after class, Adrian stood before the crowd, veterans, kids, families, and raised his voice. I used to think winning meant building empires. But then I met a man who showed me what real strength is. Strength is standing back up when life knocks you down. Strength is being there for each other. And if you ever doubt that, look at this man right here. He pointed to David. The room erupted in cheers. Lily ran up to her father, hugging his leg, her little voice trembling with pride. That's my daddy. David's throat tightened. He looked at Adrian, then at Lily, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. The viral video that started it all now had a new ending. It wasn't about a billionaire losing a spar. It was about two men, from two different worlds, who saved each other when it mattered most. The closing shot showed David and Adrian on the mats, side by side, smiling like brothers, with Lily laughing in the background. Final message. Life isn't about how many times you fall. It's about who's there to help you back up. Sometimes, the strongest bonds are forged not in blood, but in battle, on the mats, in life, and in the heart. Checkmark. Do you want me to write this as a complete 55-minute YouTube script with dialogue, pacing, and emotional beats for maximum engagement? Or break it into 3 separate video scripts, part 1, 2, 3, with proper hooks and cliffhangers?